Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And it gives me a great pleasure to be with you here today. Your Excellency, Professor Dr. Wajir Effendi, the Indonesian Coordinating Minister for Human Development and Cultural Affairs. Professor Dr. Muhammad Nasih, the President of WUACD and Director of the University of Airlangga, Indonesia. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to be with you today. And for the time, I would go straight to my presentation. I hope you can all see it here.
Yes, a beginning.
Okay. So yeah, that's fine. Thank you very much. The title of my presentation is Reconnecting Universities with Communities to Make an Impact on Sustainable Development Goals, particularly in the post-COVID-19 era. So in this post-COVID-19 era, in a diversely comprehensive situation, the world is changing. So universities or business as usual will not be enough for universities. So universities need to reconnect with community and become more sensitive and responsive to community area needs and future aspiration to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I was very much impressed by Professor Nasih's presentation about that floating boat to help community. That's a very innovative. I'm very pleased to have seen that. So what I'm going to look quickly at, what is the role of the universities in supporting communities in order to help them achieve the SDGs? What are the major obstacles that our universities are facing, and how can these obstacles be overcome? And I'm also very impressed by the speech of the minister. I think also highlighted the government support and standing by universities to engage and strengthening their role with community. And also I will talk into what is the new role of universities in the post-COVID-19, new model for university community engagement. And particularly, I'm very impressed with the work of the WUACD, and maybe talk to you very briefly about our initiative and how we can both collaborate together. So all over the last many years, maybe 20 or 30 years, most international organizations, including the United Nations, World Bank, all people, scholars agree that the wealth of nation is really depending on how good universities are in this country. And the wealth or poverty of nation become very much clearly on the quality of higher education. So universities, they have a critical role to play. And in the post-COVID-19 era, global skills and knowledge race, universities cannot fail to realize, accept, and accomplish their natural and scribe role also remotely, like now. Now we are connecting remotely with many, many hours different between us. I'm in the UK, you are in Indonesia and other countries. So we still have to play our role despite COVID, despite being away. Why we have to do it now? There are many reasons, but just very quickly, we are still in a global lockdown. I'm sure you're following the UK, France. From last night, British cannot travel to France, our next door neighbor. So the lockdown is still here. There is huge reduction in income and economic crisis. Every country is struggling now. So we have to raise up to the level of the vulnerability now. National collective efforts, all countries, like I have seen now from your minister, they are trying to catch up and be on track to achieve sustainable development goals. So we still have to go and catch up. Changing technologies and new rules post-COVID-19. We have seen and witnessed over the last 2 years that technology is enabling many people who were in the past struggling to join education and learning, particularly within women. And also we have seen an incredible role of young generations participating in decision-making and giving their voices a platform. Increasing competition in the sector, as universities, we are now all competing. Being online is giving a different platform for competition. So just to remind you all, but because I was very impressed to look at the number of universities represented with the WUACD, given these universities are from different parts of the world, not just Asia or Indonesia, but other parts of the world, we need to remind ourselves we have been, as a world, going through different revolution, industrialization, information, and we are in a globalization era now. What does this mean? We have not been through all these together. For example, Germany have completed this cycle went through industrialization, information, and globalization. Other countries are still struggling with industrialization. Just example, the entire African continent is still struggling with industrialization. So we need to remind ourselves, this is where is the world, not necessarily where we are, and then we need to catch up quickly. We need to make a decision at the university in terms of becoming globally focused or locally focused. And the decision we have to take here is when it comes to community, what community we're talking about? The local community, regional community, national community, or maybe going beyond the country and going wider. So we need to make all these decisions and to make the balance. Again, we need to decide, this is our goals, what we need to achieve. I remember when I visited Airlangga, I was very impressed with the vision and the mission of the university, morality with science, excellence. And so how do you engage with, achieve these goals, also taking into account your community needs? And I remember His Excellency, Professor Nasser's director, was telling me about some part of Indonesia where they have to consider giving them priority in terms of students, the area. Some part of Indonesia, they need particular research, focus, and so on. At the same time, the university need to consider competition because you are in a global competitive environment. So I will talk to you later about our initiative, which is the Sustainable Development Universities Initiative. And I very much welcome and invite all of you to work with us. We will work with you. But let me quickly remind all of us with the Sustainable Development Goals. I know the definition is very simple, and I always refer to the simplest part of the definition. Development meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. What I would like to remind you, this is considered to be the most widely agreed and worked upon report by the United Nations. But if you look to this, which is this report, which is called Our Common Future, the countries at the time by the United Nations who were involved heavily in this report, one of them was Indonesia. So countries like Indonesia, like Sudan, like all other countries like Algeria, from developing countries in particular, they know this and they have been the mastermind. I think Indonesia should be very proud being one of the countries involved on this very important report long time ago. The other very important thing, which I think the universities needs to play that role in educating our current children, whom we are doing all this for them. We want to make the future better for them. We need also to act and engage heavily with community, reminding and educating our current children that they need to learn to take responsibility for their actions so that they do not become adults like us, believing that nothing is ever their fault. So we need to remind them, when I was a student or when I was a child like them, I didn't have a mobile phone. I wasn't consuming so much data on live streaming and so on and so forth. So this is very important. Secondly, we all know this, there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, but what is very important to me quickly, as what you do here at the WUACD, is the partnership for the goal, which is goal number 17. We work together, and I can see that you are working together. I have been following what you have been doing. Is great, because we need to work together. This is the important thing. These 17 Sustainable Development Goals, we need to work together, understand and learn from each other. This is your logo. It's a great initiative. But just to give you in this less than 1 minute, a very good example of what you are doing, or the floating board the Professor Nasser explained. When in the UK we had the heavy COVID last year, the government decided to open up a temporary big hospital to cater for the thousands of COVID patients. And this place where the country or the government decided to build temporarily that hospital, it happened to be at the back of a university in London, the University of East London. And then the Vice Chancellor of the University of London stood up and said, since this is going to be at my backyard, I have to contribute. And this is just a quick video, less than 1 minute. Let's listen to what she has said.
I'm here at NHS Nightingale this morning, here to support our many staff and students who are making such an incredible contribution to this new hospital at the Excel Centre. Of course, observing appropriate social distancing measures. Our staff are training the trainers. Our students, physiotherapy students, nursing students are actually putting together this remarkable hospital. I'm also here to listen very carefully to our NHS colleagues about what more the University of East London can do to support NHS Nightingale and indeed NHS trusts across London. We are providing accommodation for NHS key workers. We are providing equipment and facilities. Our incredible staff and students are supporting here on the ground, and we want to find out how much more we could do as a university. We're coming up to the Easter bank holiday weekend, and that weekend, together with the extended holidays we're taking at the University of East London, should really be an opportunity for you to take a well-earned break. Please stay safe. Please stay at home, protect the NHS and save lives.
So you can see in 1 minute, she summarized the story. And if you listen to her, you can, and you remember the talk of Professor Nasih is exactly more or less the same. He was talking about the floating boat, helping people. This is a critical part of everyone's life in the UK. And this is where universities, they have to step in. So the work you are doing is great. And what I am trying to emphasize here, the important thing you are doing, and every university here we are trying to do, and even in the WSD, is thinking about a problem is not just its solution, but the strengths we all gain together in finding the solution. This is, I think, the important thing. So if I go to some challenges, globally, there are many challenges. The challenges in Indonesia, not necessarily the same challenges in the UK. Challenges in the UK, not necessarily the same challenges in Uganda or Sudan. But what people over the world have agreed, we do share global challenges such as minerals, food production, conflict and terrorism, water resources, energy and supply and security, health development, ecosystem and climate change. And the other problem is the population is growing higher, and there are many countries worldwide, they share these challenges. But what I was, as an example from Egypt, scientists in Egypt in the Academy of Science and Technology, they said, fine, for Egypt, for example, and all the science and technology based universities, let's put the map of the world. This all challenges in the world. Number one challenge worldwide is climate change and sustainable development. Is that the same like in Egypt? And they found that is the same. Clean water is 2 and 2. But when it comes to number 3 worldwide, which is population and resources, that tends to be number 8 in Egypt, and so on and so forth. So whatever the way you look at it, universities need to understand how they have to think globally, but act locally. Now, I will go quickly as an example of what universities' engagement with community need. By 2030, as the United Nations told us almost 10 years ago, the number of people who are going to lose their life from dependence on traditional fuels will likely be greater than those individuals from malaria, tuberculosis, HIV, AIDS, underscoring the necessity of finding more sustainable form of energy supply. So we need to be engaged. This is a true problem happening in all communities across the world. Fuels, people are losing their life much bigger than COVID. So what can we do, the universities do? I give you another example where universities engaging with community can help them to reach something. This is one of very important targets for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals: education for sustainable development and global citizenship. The one you're talking, your union is World Union. So global citizenship, how we educate kids about global citizenship and education for sustainable development. And unfortunately, the United Nations itself, they said we currently do not, or we are not aware of data for this indicator. So not only in Indonesia or in America or in the UK or in Sudan, there is no data. We are the scientists, we are the universities, we are the production of knowledge base. We should help understand and help this community, at least with data collection, with data finding, if you like. So there is so much we can do, which will have greater impact on community. Another issue, this is just a quick example. When the United Nations released or declared the United Nations the Millennium Development Goals, we then realized it did not actually count for people with disability. There are many of us who are in, we call them disability, or they are disabled people who it happen to have some challenges in doing things which we do as non-disabled people. So what we need to do is to look at this thing, and that's what we did as scientists, universities. We work with the UN to try to change that, the Millennium Development Goals into Sustainable Development Goals, to then include and count and have consideration for disabled people. This is the exact example of how universities can engage with community, not including the needs of people with disability, despite the fact that 80% of people with disabilities around the world live in poverty. So this is just to highlight there is so much of your union can do. Some of the critique for universities, we've been accused across the whole world, not just in developing countries. Yes?
Sorry to interrupt, but I will give you just 5 more minutes to wrap up.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I will get that done. Our curriculum, we need to look at our curriculum. We need to change the content, the delivery. We need to look into global problems, real community problems. We also need to look into issues, invention or innovation. Do we need to invent new things, or do we just need to be creative? Like the floating boat, the professor explained, and so on. The one on the right, I know the time is short, but this is a classic example where we failed in delivering a product because we did not communicate well with the community. Now we need to, in order to be well connecting with communities, we need to have consideration for end user, the farmers, the poor people who are going to use our technology. We should communicate better with them. We should also be very well much designing simple technologies, not complicated technologies where they are partner or major partner, and we need to make sure we measure the impact of our technologies or our research, not just by publications, but also by the real change in productivity for people. Now, what is the role? Universities have plenty of things to do in terms of community engagement, including innovation at the time of vulnerability. This is a time of vulnerability. The floating boat, again, is a very good, innovative idea to solve people or to help people or community in a time of vulnerability, develop the connecting teacher or academics or professors who connect with the community, improve the learning environment, support the student success and well-being, commit to continuous quality improvement. And also, I'm sure I have seen this a lot in most of your universities, is well-established vision and mission like Airlangga, widening participation and connects with community. So I will just quickly go, this is all well known, but I'm just reminding myself and you. We need to make sure we are more boldly and robustly establishing ourselves within the global dynamic knowledge. We need to keep re-articulating the academic research mission, and we need to scrutinize our system, our delivery, our everything we do things. Now, how can universities at all levels support communities, strengthen human, financial, and physical infrastructure of local communities, supportive climate that engage and celebrate community champions, positive citizen and community attitudes, and so on, open and creative community. So the engagement policy should be the community first. We should not start from our offices or our labs at the university. We should start from the community, and then the university will come second, engaging with community, understanding the problem, and then we have the government on board, like you are doing very nicely here. And there should always be an effective communication between the three: community, university, and the government. Finally, the model we are proposing, you need to apply new ideas. You need to search for new paths to achieve SDGs. We cannot just sit down, follow a roadmap. We need to be creative. Better integration of business, startup, entrepreneurship, community development, building efficient technological infrastructure. And then we need to enhance local community cooperation and collaboration. And we need to be using international agreed standards and methods. And then this will lead us to become more engaging, leading and following. Engage with community, lead community interaction and engagement, and follow the community because there's so much we learn from community. We need to become a more connective university, participate, facilitate, and enable. And then finally, I think we need to look into conversation, strengthen our conversation with governments and stakeholders. We need to also collaborate for several reasons. The task of the SDG is very big. We have to collaborate for that reason. We need to also look at community engagement as one tool important for us to transfer knowledge and diffusion of our knowledge and technology within community. And there is lots of stuff here. I think they've already been touched by your ministers and the Vice Chancellor, understand the type of professional we need. We need to also involve ordinary citizens in decision about science, technology, and development. Creating the informal builds community and relationship. We need to teaming across all levels of the community. And I think in my summary, 4 quick points: implementing sustainability practices are very challenging. Processes require careful planning and execution. To successfully achieve the SDGs, universities require to develop structures and processes to reconnect and engage with the community. University community engagement must be based on ongoing innovation of business. A holistic approach should be considered for designing community engagement. I have finished this. Our initiative is available online. I welcome any collaboration with you, and I think we will be very delighted to have you on board. I will leave the video, and you can. It's only 1 minute or 2 minutes, and then thank you very much for your time.
It gives me great pleasure to invite all universities, research centers, and experts from all over the world working on sustainable development and sustainable development goals to come and join us in this major platform. We are launching by today. The World Association for Sustainable Development has been working very closely with the United Nations over the last several years, including knowledge management report in 2016 and 17 on the public-private partnership. And last conference we were meeting face-to-face was in that building, the International Maritime Organization, where we were kindly hosted by IMO, again together with the Joint Inspection Unit, the United Nations Habitat in Kenya. In all these activities and engagement and collaboration with the United Nations, we have learned many stories. One of them is that for 52 years, the United Nations has never consulted widely the academics and the researchers from all over the world about the key decision-making process in Geneva. So when we did the public policy uptake report with the United Nations and the survey, they told us the contribution of the academia has been remarkable. So we would like to continue that work and bring the academia voice and contribution scientifically to the decision-making process in the United Nations, which will affect the whole world. So in the platform, you will find a section for universities where you can take them by country or by region. You will also find a section for research centers, and then you will find a section for experts where you can take them. We have universities classified by countries and region, but also we have a group of universities which has been ranked by some ranking system as top universities in the world. We're also trying to bring a group of universities which are primarily focusing on women. We're also trying to bring or to highlight the focus of some universities on the youth and the activities of the young generations. So I encourage you or invite you to join us. Please visit the website. It's very easy. It's sdgsuniversities.org, and register either at the university or research center or as an expert, and contact us if you're facing any problem or you have any questions, and we'll be delighted to help you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and Madam Chair, and I'm happy for any question if you have any time.